The restaurant hummed with the quiet chaos of a Friday night, forks clinking against plates, laughter bubbling over the low drone of jazz, the air thick with the scent of garlic and simmering tomatoes. Trattoria Bella was our pick, a cozy Italian joint downtown, where the checkered tablecloths and flickering candles promised a simple escape. I'd suggested the dinner with my husband Tom's colleague Rachel Nguyen, imagining a casual evening of pasta and small talk to break the monotony of our routine. Tom, 38, with his tousled dark hair and easy grin, had been buried in work lately, and I'd hoped this would pull him out of his shell. Me, Sarah Ellis, 35, a freelance writer who'd traded gritty exposés for fluff pieces, just wanted a night to feel connected again. I didn't expect it to spiral into something that would leave me reeling. Rachel was new to Tom's team at Nexlify, a tech firm he'd joined 3 years ago after ditching academia. 6 months in, she'd become his go-to collaborator, her name popping up in his stories of late-night coding marathons. I'd pictured a stiff professional, but her texts, playful, sharp, hinted at more. "Tell Sarah I owe her for stealing you," she'd written once, and I'd laughed, curious to meet the woman behind the words. That afternoon, as I'd slipped into a navy sweater and jeans, Tom had kissed my forehead, promising, "She'll like you." I'd smiled, ignoring the unease that had crept in lately. His silences, his phone buzzing at odd hours. Tonight was supposed to be simple. Instead, it became the night a whispered truth turned a meal into a minefield, and I'd spend the hours after picking through the wreckage. The booth creaked as I slid in, the vinyl cool against my legs, the candle's glow casting shadows across the table. Tom sat across from me, his blazer slightly wrinkled, his knee brushing mine under the table, a small, familiar comfort. The restaurant buzzed around us, waiters weaving through tables with trays of steaming pasta, the clatter of dishes, a steady rhythm. I smoothed the menu, already knowing I'd order spaghetti, while Tom scanned the wine list, his brow furrowed like he was solving a puzzle. "Chianti?" he asked, glancing up. I nodded, and he flagged the server, a young guy with a harried smile. "Bottle of Chianti and bruschetta to start." The order felt like a ritual, a nod to our early dates here, back when his biggest worry was grading papers, not whatever kept him at Nexlify past midnight. Rachel arrived 10 minutes late, her black blazer rumpled, a leather satchel slung over her shoulder. "Traffic's a beast," she said, sliding in beside Tom with a breathless laugh. Her dark bob framed a sharp face, her eyes darting around before settling on me. "Sarah, right? Tom's told me you're the real brains here." Her handshake was firm, her smile quick, and I warmed to her instantly. "He exaggerates," I said, grinning at Tom. "I just keep the coffee flowing." "Vital work," she teased, nudging him. He'd be lost without it. Tom groaned, and the tension I'd carried all day started to melt. We ordered spaghetti for me, risotto for Tom, gnocchi for Rachel, and the conversation flowed like the wine, smooth and easy. She told us about her first job, debugging a crashed server at 3 a.m., her voice animated, hands gesturing. "Tom's the same, won't sleep till the code's perfect." "Guilty," he said, raising his glass. "To stubbornness." We clinked, the wine tart and warm, and I laughed, the sound blending with the restaurant's hum. Rachel asked about my writing, and I shrugged. "Used to chase big stories, corruption, scandals. Now it's 10 ways to organize your closet." "Shame," she said, her tone thoughtful. "You've got that digger vibe." I brushed it off, but her words stirred something, a flicker of the old me, buried under years of safer gigs. The bruschetta arrived, crisp and dripping with tomatoes, and we dug in, the chatter turning to movies and Tom's failed herb garden. I was wiping olive oil from my chin when Rachel's posture shifted. She leaned forward, elbows on the table, her voice dropping low. "Tom ever tell you about our project?" Her eyes locked on mine, intense, almost probing. "Not much," I said, glancing at him. He'd stiffened, his fork hovering over his plate. Just that it's data stuff. Keeps him late. She nodded, swirling her wine. It's bigger than that. You'd be surprised what we've dug up. Her tone was casual, but her gaze wasn't, and a prickle ran up my spine. Tom set his fork down, the clink sharp. "Rach, come on," he said, his voice tight. "Not here." "Why not?" she replied, unflinching. "She's your wife. She should know." The words hung there, heavy, and the air shifted. Laughter fading, the candle's flicker suddenly stark. I looked between them, my pulse quickening. Was this a work spat? A joke? The night had just veered off course, and I wasn't sure I wanted to follow. The entrees sat steaming before us, but no one touched them. My spaghetti coiled on the plate, Tom's risotto congealed, Rachel's gnocchi cooled as the tension thickened. I folded my hands in my lap, hiding the tremble. "Okay, what's going on?" I asked, my voice steady despite the knot in my chest. "What should I know?" Rachel glanced at Tom, who stared at his plate, jaw tight. When he didn't speak, she sighed. "The project's not just data analysis. It's surveillance, deep stuff. Tracking patterns, predicting behavior. We're not crunching numbers for ads or trends. We're watching people." I frowned, grasping for sense, like profiling for companies. "No," she said, her voice low, firm. "Individuals, specific targets. People who don't know they're being watched." The words landed like a punch, cold and sharp. I looked at Tom, waiting for him to laugh, to call it nonsense, but he rubbed his temples, eyes down, silent. "It's not that simple," he muttered finally. "It's legal, contracted, government stuff." "Government?" My voice rose, cutting through the restaurant's hum. "You're spying for the government?" "Not spying," he snapped, his head jerking up, eyes flashing, analyzing. "There's a difference." His defensiveness only fueled the fire in my chest. Rachel snorted, sipping her wine. "Keep telling yourself that." She set the glass down, her expression softening as she faced me. "I didn't mean to drop this here, but when Tom said dinner, I thought, you deserve to know what he's into." I leaned back, my mind racing. Tom's late nights, his vague client meetings, the way he'd dodge questions with a tired smile. I'd chalked it up to tech stress. Not this. Surveillance? Targets? My husband, who'd once spent a weekend building me a bookshelf, was tangled in something that sounded like a conspiracy. "Why now?" I asked, my eyes flicking between them. "Why not let him tell me?" Rachel hesitated, tracing the rim of her glass. "Because I found something big. And it's not just work. It's personal." She glanced at Tom, who'd gone pale, his hands clenched. "You're in the data, Sarah." My heart stopped, a chill spreading through me. "Me?" I whispered, barely audible. "What do you mean?" Tom reached for my hand, but I yanked it back. "It's not what you think," he said, words tumbling out. "It's metadata, routine sweeps, phone records, online stuff. Everyone's in there somewhere." "Everyone's not married to you," Rachel cut in, her voice sharp. "I saw your name flagged, specific queries, your calls, your searches. Someone's watching her." The room spun, the chatter around us fading to a dull roar. I gripped the table, nails digging into the wood. "Watching me?" My late-night emails, my grocery lists, my idle scrolls through news sites. This wasn't just a turn. It was a plunge into a nightmare, and the man I trusted most was at the center. Tiramisu arrived unasked, a waiter's hopeful gesture, but it sat melting as silence swallowed us. My head buzzed, someone's watching her, and I stared at Tom, his face a mix of guilt and panic. Then at Rachel, who looked almost sorry now, her bravado fading. The restaurant's warmth felt suffocating, the jazz a mocking backdrop to the chaos unfolding. "Explain," I said, my voice cold, cutting through the haze. "Now," Tom exhaled, running a hand through his hair. "It's the system. It flags anomalies, unusual patterns. Your name popped up weeks ago. I didn't think much could have been anything. A glitch, a glitch, I snapped, my laugh bitter. My name's flagged, and you didn't tell me? I didn't want to worry you, he shot back, desperation creeping in. It's just data, calls, online activity. Thousands get flagged. I thought it'd pass. Rachel shook her head. It didn't. I dug deeper. The queries on you, they're targeted. Location logs, search history. It's not random. I felt sick, bile rising. Who? Why? I don't know, she admitted, her voice softening. Could be a client, a contractor, someone internal, but it's not protocol. I showed Tom yesterday. He freaked. Yesterday. My voice trembled, rising. You knew yesterday, and said nothing? I was going to, he said, leaning forward. I didn't know how. I thought I could fix it, get it scrubbed. Scrubbed? I cut him off, standing so fast the table rocked. This isn't a spill, Tom. Someone's watching me. Heads turned, but I didn't care. The air pressed in, thick and hot. Rachel reached out, her hand hovering. I'm sorry, I should have waited, but I couldn't pretend everything's fine. I grabbed my purse, my chest tight. I need air. I stormed out, the cool night hitting my face like a slap. Tom called after me, but I kept walking, the sidewalk blurring under my feet. My mind spun, someone tracking me, Tom hiding it, Rachel spilling it over gnocchi. How had this happened? At home I sank onto the couch, my phone lighting up with texts. Tom, I'll fix this. I swear. Rachel, didn't mean to scare you. Let me help. I didn't reply. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every call, every click. Who was watching? The dinner I'd planned as a break had shattered my trust, and the pieces were too sharp to pick up yet.